Good afternoon, Zimbabweans. Good afternoon, vana veZimbabwe. Maskata kanaka vana veZimbabwe. My name is Shepherd Judah. I want to make a brief presentation this afternoon about what we are witnessing in our country. If you see, or if there is no turnover in power of executive, then there is a dictatorship. That is the definition of a dictator, right? A country where there is no turnover in executive power. That country is under a dictatorship. A dictator is a political leader who possesses absolute power. Zimbabwe is a country that has been ruled by a very small clique. A very small clique. Under that clique, a good example during Robert Mugabe era, and the Zimbabweans call it First Republic, and came Emerson Mnangagwa with a Second Republic. Under Second Republic, I never thought that we would witness repression. I never thought that we would witness human rights abuses. I never thought Zimbabweans would experience such magnitude of poverty. The turmoil is shocking. And Emerson Mnangagwa. E.D. Mnangagwa, dictatorial tendencies, has cost untold lives, including 20,000 Gukurahundi deaths. Under him, under his command, even during Robert Mugabe's time, he was in command for the intelligence unit, where more than 20,000 people were killed in an operation deemed Gukurahundi. So what we are witnessing, ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing this repression, unending repression, unending human rights abuses, unending poverty, and the disturbances in living that we've witnessed in our country is of a very high magnitude. So ending dictatorship once and for all is seen a worthwhile goal for every Zimbabwean. If you are a Zimbabwean, you need to end this dictatorship. It has to be ended once and for all. That must be our aims and objectives of getting into politics. If we say we are in opposition politics, we must aim at ending the dictatorship, especially the dictatorship of Emerson Mnangagwa. E.D., if you look at Emerson Mnangagwa's dictatorship, he has managed to build a personal cult. Listen to the songs that these people sing. It's a personal cult and a militant-run oligarch. His word is above all law. Whatever he says is law. The mediocrity that he has shown to the world is shocking. But to the ZANU-PF people back home in Zimbabwe, they don't see it. They don't see the mediocrity of a president reduced to officially open a cave of a road in Chirundu. You go to Shaban, he opens a small portion of road, and the ZANU-PF people will be ululating, clapping their hands, seeing this mediocrity. They don't care because they are part of a personal cult that was created by Emerson Mnangagwa. We are witnessing appropriation, ladies and gentlemen, of state funds to a selected clique of cronies, the likes of Chivayo, the likes of Java, and passionate Java, the likes of the Hubert Angels, the likes of the Mudas. This is a clique of cronies who are misappropriation or misappropriation of state funds, the monies that they are taking, for their personal use is supposed to be the monies that is supposed to be building Jeffrey Waterworks for people of Zimbabwe to drink clean water, is particularly in Harare, where we have seen Lake Chivero's disaster, fish dying, animals dying, drinking water infested with the sewage. That sewage has been flowing into Lake Chivero since time immemorial, since ZANU-PF assumed the leadership of Zimbabwe. Sewage started flowing into Lake Chivero, and these are years and years of sewage flowing into Lake Chivero, contaminating the source of drinking water for Harare, to the extent that even the aquatic life cannot be sustained in Lake Chivero. So we are witnessing this turmoil, ladies and gentlemen, that is the magnitude is shocking. I am telling you. Mnangagwa has shown these unfortunate personality traits. If you listen to Mnangagwa, yes, all addresses, he blames others for his failure, blames the West for sanctions that are non-existing sanctions. He blames the opposition for destroying the seat of Harare, the council. But looking back, before Mnangagwa became president, there is a video, ladies and gentlemen, of Mnangagwa addressing ZANU-PF clique, telling them clearly that even if you vote for opposition councillors, their grievances or their representation for their constituencies and wards, it won't get to the president of Zimbabwe because they will be blocked somewhere, somehow. That means Mnangagwa was talking about sabotaging the councils, sabotaging the people of Harare because they don't like to vote ZANU-PF. This is where we have reached, ladies and gentlemen, where even fish are dying where they are not supposed to die. Fish live in water. They don't live outside. When they die in water, they won't survive outside. But because of the sabotage that has been done by Emmerson Mnangagwa blaming the councils, that sabotage has seen the destruction of aquatic life in Lake Chivero, the contamination of Lake Chivero itself. So he likes playing the victim, spreading negativity. That's the problem we have in Emmerson Mnangagwa and his cult. They like playing the victim, they like spreading negativity, whilst they forget that whatever is happening in Lake Chivero today are the architects of Mnangagwa before he became president. And these are the after effects of his stupidity. So he is, by doing so, he becomes an irresponsible person, an irresponsible leader. If you look at how he has been dishing out cars to chiefs, cars to army personnel, cars to ZANU-PF supporters, just to calculate how much he is wasting in giving out, in handing out those cars to people who do not deserve them. It shows that Zimbabwe's president is irresponsible with the money. He's irresponsible with the Zimbabwe funds. He cannot admit his mistakes. It's very unfortunate that he is making mistakes glaringly, but cannot admit to his mistakes. He likes blaming someone for his mistakes. And failure to admit his mistakes will aggravate the situation of the people of Zimbabwe. So what I'm saying is that Zimbabweans, they need to end ED dictatorship once and for all. This is a worthwhile goal that every Zimbabwean must have in his heart, to say, look, we must end this dictatorship. Because the dictatorship, if you look at Emmerson Mnangagwa today as president of Zimbabwe, he lacks sympathy of Zimbabweans. He lacks sympathy of Zimbabweans. Look at hospitals. The hospitals are dilapidated. Look at the education system in our country, it's dilapidated. Look at the road network, it's dilapidated. Accidents every day. This is the only country that I've seen a bus burning every day. There is the buses, they get burnt. Every day you receive a message of a bus burning somewhere in Zimbabwe. A bus every single day created by God. We receive messages of buses burning in that country. So failure to fix the road network, failure to fix the waterworks, failure to fix the education system, failure to fix the healthcare system in our country. It shows that your president in ZANU-PF lacks the sympathy for others. He doesn't sympathize with the country, doesn't sympathize with ordinary Zimbabweans. He just sympathizes with his cronies, giving them cars, sending them money, and those with the big bums, those who shake big bums like my Willie, getting 20,000 US dollars plus an aqua vehicle for bum shaking. What type of a president is that? If you go to Parinyatwa, there is no paracetamol, no medical attention, no doctors, no nurses. But a president has got guards to dish out vehicles like dishing out paracetamols to the people who in need. So to him, it is perfectly fine. He doesn't care. If it is perfectly fine. Criticize him, he doesn't listen. Insult him, he doesn't listen. Accuse him, he doesn't listen. What he does is he just blame sanctions. I don't know which sanctions doesn't stop him from buying those new cars. The Ford is an American mod, I think. If you look at a Ford, it is an American mod that he is buying from America for his escort, and sanctions cannot stop him from doing that. So it is perfectly fine to him to criticize others, to insult people, to accuse his victims of being British puppets. So since the British colonialists left Zimbabweans have witnessed the most brutal tyrants. Since British colonialists left, Zimbabwe's most brutal tyrants have emerged. We have seen Robert Mugabe. We have seen Emerson Mnangagwa. But what do we need to do as Zimbabweans? What should we do? What should we do? We must find a way of ending dictatorship. And that dictatorship must end once and for all. So this idea of ending dictatorship is a worthwhile goal that every Zimbabwean must put as an objective in 2025. The good part is we are living 2024 with very, very bad memories. Very, very bad memories. What we are witnessing, we have never witnessed such a thing during Ian Smith regime. Some of us were lucky to have seen Smith regime. It's very unfortunate if we talk about Smith regime, those brainwashed individuals, these youngsters who were not there, who have never seen it, who have never witnessed what we witnessed in Rhodesia and in Zimbabwe. The critics come to criticize you. It's surprising that we are criticized by children who were born after 1980. We have never seen the brutality of the white regime. We have never seen the brutality of the black regime. And if we tell them that this regime is the worst ever compared to the white minority regime, they come and criticize us. They criticize us of things that they've never seen, things that they are reading, things that were written by Chris Mchangwa. And these youngsters are reading Chris Mchangwa's things, and they go to Chitepo School of Ideology. Then they come pretending to be champions of the struggle. But they've never seen the Rhodesian government. They've never seen the Rhodesian brutality. We are telling them, we saw the Rhodesian brutality. We saw the Zimbabwean brutality. And the Zimbabwean brutality is the worst ever brutality to visit that region we call Zimbabwe today. So we want these kids to understand. This is why we spend much of our time doing lives on Facebook, doing everything that we do, because we want these youngsters to understand. When we tell them that let's make it an objective, an aim and objective to end dictatorship and remove ZANU-PF government, they must understand us when we say that. They are very lucky that they've got a generation, that they still have a generation in our country, which saw the Smith regime, which saw the Mugabe regime, and we are seeing the Mnangagwa regime. So what I'm saying is, I am saying we must all agree that Mnangagwa's days are numbered. He is operating in an economy that's perpetuating his collapse. His backers are now nervous. Look at them. People who back Emerson Mnangagwa are very nervous. And the economy that they created and let him lead, the likes of Mtuli Ncube now knows that Mnangagwa's days are numbered. This is why you see they are relentless in taxing people. They are going very soon. They will be taxing people with big bombs. They are saying you need to pay a tax. You need to pay tax for eating pizza, buying pizza. If you gamble and win, you need to pay tax. This shows that the regime is broke and Mnangagwa's days are numbered. The type of economy that is prevailing at the moment in our country is not conducive for survival of an ordinary person on the streets. We are witnessing a situation which can result in military coup again. It's no secret now that the situation Zimbabwe is in today can result in another military coup, like the one we witnessed during Robert Mugabe. I am not sure if in 2025 Mnangagwa will manage to sail through 2025, considering the state of economy and the situation Zimbabweans are finding themselves in. There are clear signs of cracking in ZANU-PF. In the ZANU-PF as a party, there are clear signs of cracking. Even in the security forces, you have recently seen Mnangagwa roping in his children, his relatives, to try to provide him close security, because he no longer trusts anyone outside his family circles. So that is a sign of clear crack or clear fissures in whatever you see in ZANU-PF. Look at Muchangwa today. Chakungo Umana. He was fired. If you look at Chiwenga himself, Kanagarwara, his health issues are catered for by the Chinese. He cannot be treated in Zimbabwe. Even if he visit a ZANU-PF rally or whatever, he doesn't drink water there. He doesn't eat the food there. So there are clear fissures in ZANU-PF. We are likely to witness another coup in 2025, which we are not yet prepared for. We don't need a coup in our country. See what a coup ushered to us. It gave us Emerson Mnangagwa, and people did not budge for that. And Mnangagwa, when he came in, he did exactly what Mugabe was doing. And he exceeded the brutality of Robert Mugabe in few years. In just a few years that Mnangagwa has been at the helm, he has surpassed Mugabe's brutality. And that has led to a greater instability and suffering to the people of Zimbabwe. If you see today, fish are dying. Remember, during Robert Mugabe's era, fish died as well. And look at the amount of fish dying in Lake Chweru alone. Look at the number of people dying. Thousands and thousands of people are dying every day, with dying from accidents in our roads. There's massive migration now than in Mugabe's era. Every nurse in Zimbabwe now do not want to be in Zimbabwe. Every doctor in Zimbabwe do not want to be in Zimbabwe. Every soldier given an opportunity will migrate to a soldier who rather go and work as a porter in Beira, who rather go and work as a healthcare assistant in South Africa, even come to the United Kingdom kuzogeza chembere dzavaitutuka vachiti muri kugeza machembere kuUK. But every soldier in Zimbabwe, despite of rank, is prepared to leave. So there is a massive migration rather than as compared to Mugabe's era. So because why are they leaving Zimbabwe? Soldiers, police officers, Air Force, prison officers. Why are they leaving Zimbabwe? Whilst they are deemed the defenders of the country. It's because of widespread violence, particularly by the FARS. Unoziva kuti hakusina mufaro kuma-uniformed forces. Ukangodaiso hanzi uri kuteerwa neFARS, ukangodaiso hanzi FARS yazvisa zvakati, ukangodaiso Mnangagwa has created a separate intelligence department from CIO, comprised of elements that were drawn from CIO, police, prison, and army, and they called themselves FARS. And these people are so brutal, very brutal. They don't care about Zimbabwe. They don't care. So, coming to Zimbabweans, the people of Zimbabwe, what's the way forward? What's the way forward? You need, wherever you are, if you are in the uniformed forces or not in the uniformed forces, as long as you are Zimbabwean, you must prepare to expose the true horrors the people of Zimbabwe are facing. The situation in Zimbabwe today is not conducive for survival, and the object failure of SADC and the international community that must always be stated and told. We must always tell Zimbabweans, we must always tell the world the failures of SADC, the failures of international community to rope in a brutal regime like the one led by Emmerson Mnangagwa. And we must condemn SADC for allowing him to assume the SADC chairmanship, which has caused this turmoil in SADC. Look at what happened in Namibia, what is happening in Mozambique, and in Zambia as well. He's trying to spread his arms in Zambia to influence the removal of HH, because HH is the only leader in SADC who has stood against Emmerson Mnangagwa. In DRC, they initiated a military intervention, you still remember, because they wanted a 29-year-old leader to become a DRC president. It was Emmerson Mnangagwa's ideas, but coming to Zimbabwe, he will tell you that Nelson Chamisa is just a baby, cannot assume the presidency of a country. But whilst we had soldiers in DRC who went to die because they wanted a 29-year-old chap to be president of that country. So President Nelson Chamisa has pushed for a consensus-based regional resolution that sees fresh pools in Zimbabwe. But those fresh pools were hampered by the appointment of Emmerson Mnangagwa as the leader or the chairperson of SADC. So that solution did not materialize. Zimbabwe opposition has now been infiltrated highly to the extent that the opposition is a mere figure or a mere organization that exist in name but not in deeds as people expected. We expected the opposition to stand firm against the Emerson Mnangagwa dictatorship. But once Mnangagwa read that, he destroyed the opposition and allowed the Shabang to take part in there. So, ladies and gentlemen, today or this year, 2024, is coming to an end. And when it comes to an end, as Shepherd Yuda, I've been a political analyst for quite some time, looking at our situation, how best we can deal with the situation in Zimbabwe. But I am feeling that 2024, andave bo boys around. The politics is, I think, andave bo. I don't think I need to do political analysis from January 1, 2025. Let me declare that no more political analysis in 2025. I am now going to focus on sex as a sexologist. I don't do sex, but I want to focus on sex as a sexologist, trying to explain the Egonga exploits. I think that will be better because I have the reason why I am saying that is purported powerful figures in opposition, Triple C, betrayed Nero or Nelson Chamisa and found themselves embroiled in ED's 2/3 majority scandal, which ED desperately needed. So we had powerful individuals in the Triple C who orchestrated the removal of Nelson Chamisa as leader of Triple C so that they can receive money from Mnangagwa, who was desperate for a third term majority, and they gave him a 2/3 majority so that he can facilitate for a third term. Triple C, as an opposition party in Zimbabwe, was collapsed by sellouts. These sellouts connived with the ZANU-PF with the support of state security and state institutions to support an unpopular dictator's ambition to die in office and escape justice. What Mnangagwa is just doing, he wants to escape justice. He wants to die in power because he knows once he's removed, he's done a lot of damage that require accountability. Today, ladies and gentlemen, people claiming to be opposition leaders in Zimbabwe are fighting to paint a deeply troubling picture, convincing everyone that Nero is not a good leader. Now Zimbabweans have expressed concerns about these leaders' failure to do what they expected Nelson Chamisa to do. They have failed, prompting intense public and media scrutiny. Their failure prompted intense public and media scrutiny. Their failures without Nero inside. One, the structures in Triple C are yet to be put. So there are no structures in Triple C. A year after Chamisa's departure. Two, there is no meaningful opposition political party, including Triple C, held an elective congress in the last 12 months. 3, no party held or participated in any demonstration in the last 12 months. If you look at Triple C, it had a rotational presidential ambition to say, look, Mike Ore will take over, BT will come and take over, and then Welshman will take over. But until now, if you look at Dilapidated, reduced himself Dilapidated of the era of the Apera Munu fame, who is now a social media activist. You remember, you see, that mantra does not help. So listen, the call for Nelson Chamisa to return is growing louder. It's growing louder because without Nelson Chamisa, opposition has literally disappeared in our country. ED appears by now at this rate, at this moment. Mnangagwa appears to have secured his third term mantra with the help of these unscrupulous Triple C imposters, which he planned before 2023 election. This emphasizes the urgent need for Nero's return. Zimbabweans are crying for Nelson Chamisa to come back. They're crying for Chamisa to return because they want Chamisa back. Anymore. But I need to go and have a nice sleep now. The 2/3 majority, Irugudiwan is ZANU PF. They have it now. ZANU is now dominated by. ZANU is now dominating the parliament. They've got 2/3, so they need to restructure power. And what they want is they want to manipulate the constitution as they did with the electoral process. The good part, and Zimbabwe, is we've got a president who lacks political skills. Mnangagwa lacks political skills. He lacks that ability of an orator. He lacks ability of an orator, and is not a good communicator. He's not a charismatic leader. He lacks this charismatic leadership, not held in great affection by elements of Zimbabwe population. They've never, is someone who just rose to the rank of a president, but avamudi Mnangagwa. Saka, what we are saying, ladies and gentlemen, is we need ZANU PF to go. We need Mnangagwa to go. We need to restore our country back to its original status. Because if you look at how Zimbabweans are being treated by Mnangagwa as compared to the Rhodesian era, Rhodesia was better. Because if you look at Zimbabwe, Rhodesia, we were being called kephas. Ndatini vanhu vakazvarwa after 1980 Mbugara ipass. We were called kephas in our own country by the white regime, and we were killed just like dogs by the white regime. If you compare that with what we are witnessing today, being called a kepha was far much better because white was guta. Now we are being killed like dogs more than the way we were killed by the white Rhodesians. We are now suffering the most grueling treatment as compared to the grueling war that we suffered during the struggle war. Smith, he took our fathers, our brothers, our uncles, and gave them jobs, gave them houses in Mavuku, houses in Kampuzuma, houses in Highfield. They were all given by Ian Smith, not by the Zimbabwe government. Today, when you build under Zimbabwe government, they send bulldozers to bulldoze those houses, and they don't mind whether you've got property in there or whatever inside there. They just bulldoze the house, which was never done by Ian Smith. Smith was busy building, housing our fathers, housing our brothers, housing our uncles. And now our fathers, our uncles, our brothers are being beaten to death in an independent Zimbabwe. They are being detained in prison for years and years without trial, especially in notorious Shikurubi and Harare Central Prison. Mnangagwa has now closed the schools, has now closed the shops, grinding mills are no longer working, and transport is being restricted. That has caused Zimbabweans to use other means of transport, resulting in these accidents on daily basis, killing more people than whatever we witness. So, if we talk about sanctions, I'm asking, why can't they stop Mnangagwa obtaining Ford American vehicles? Whilst Rhodesia was under full sanctions, they were not even allowed to buy fuel. The country became self-sufficient, very self-sufficient. And they circumvented those sanctions for the survival of the people of Rhodesia. Rhodesia did not give it a damn. But we are suffering in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, Zimbabweans, we must come together and try to find a way and means of ending this dictatorship in our country. And time ndoyapera ndandine zvakawanda zvokuti timbokurukura, but let me quickly go out ndotora mwana wechikoro. I might be back soon. Thank you.